Hey, it's Denise. Little follow-up and how everybody's doing. My gardening efforts are going so-so. The potato plants are growing like crazy. Let's hope that underneath the soil the roots are doing the same. I did just in the mail finally receive some more coconut coir, which basically, if you're not familiar with it, it comes like as the most compressed, dried brick of stuff you've ever seen in your life. And it just absorbs gallons of water. And then you've got a non-soil based, kind of reminds you almost the feeling of like peat moss, that it helps hold moisture. It's something to grow your plants in, but of course you have to add nutrients because it really doesn't feed your plants. Anyway, it arrived, so I was just doing that. My head has been killing, as I've mentioned. Went to the pharmacy. I got in touch with my doctor yesterday. We did one of those telemedicine calls. I went to the pharmacy today and picked this up, which is what I had been on that was working prior to us switching me to something that had a lower side effect profile, but which unfortunately did not work for me. The only reason that light is on is so I can make this video, and then the light will be back off. Migraines have been brutal, and this is one dose. It's a once-a-month injection. I had to pay $316 for this. When I saw, the email pop up from the pharmacy saying that, your prescription is ready, and you click on it, and it said $316, I honestly didn't know if I would be able to go pick it up. I had to check my bank account and be sure that I'd be able to do that and still pay my rent. And I know I'm not alone. I know a lot of people are facing that situation. And it's like, do you pick this up and give yourself, that once a month injection that hopefully will get the migraines gone again? Because when I was on this, they were gone. It was, concern of a side effect that apparently the FDA is seeing a lot of people having with this particular medication. It's a new class of medications for the treatment of migraine that, no, I'm not a scientist. My degree is actually in applied science, but it's a nursing degree. I'm no chemist, but like this classification of medications, I think there were 4 released that FDA approved at the same time, by different drug companies, but they revolutionized treatment for those of us who have been, if you're familiar with an EpiPen, I already used this, but if you're familiar with an EpiPen, it's the same type of thing. It's an auto injector. There was a cap on that yellow end. The needle retracts so that even, I put it in this case and then put it in my garbage. But even then, if this accidentally bumped somebody's hand, it's not, the needle is retracted. It's not going to poke anybody. But yeah, you push it against your skin, you push the button, it pokes you. It takes about 5 or 6 seconds for it to inject all the medication. But this one dose, and I have insurance. With my insurance, this one dose was $316. But what was my option? I've been curled up like a vampire sitting in the dark for a couple weeks now. That's no way to be a parent. And it's no way to live. Especially when you know there's something out there that can make you feel better. Insurance companies, if I didn't have insurance, it would have been over $600 for this. And then it totally would have been out of the question. I would not have been able. As it is, I was barely able to fit this into my budget. Luckily I have recently had ordered groceries and stuff, so it wasn't like I had to decide between buying medication or putting food on the table, which a lot of people are having to do. And I don't envy them that decision. We're all having to decide what we can and can't do without the longer this goes on. But we can't let that make us reckless. We can't let it make us make impulsive decisions. While I was at the pharmacy briefly to pick this up, I did see one person in there, even though New York State has a law that you have to have a mask on in public. If you're in a public place where it's not possible to necessarily maintain a 6-foot distance, and certainly in a store, you can't guarantee that you won't come within 6 feet of people just by turning around the corner of an aisle. You could come within 6 feet of somebody. By walking through the door, someone could be on their way walking out the door. I still saw one douchebag. Sorry for those who are easily offended by my potty mouth. Yeah, one douchebag wasn't wearing a mask, even though it's the law in New York State. And you know what makes me sad? There shouldn't have to be a law. People should be doing this because the mask doesn't protect you, as we've all been explained many times. The mask stops you from spreading. We're not talking the medical grade masks that they're using in hospitals. We're talking the face covering, the cloth face covering that is the law. It could be a bandana, it could be whatever you make it out of. Mine's a handkerchief and ponytail holders is what I made, and a coffee filter. That's what mine's made out of. I got it from a how-to video. But yeah, one person in the store didn't think everybody else's health mattered enough and was walking around with no mask on. And I feel like, you know what? I understand. And I'm not advocating violence. Please don't take it as that. But, I understand how people get the crap beat out of them. Because it's like, dude, you're not being brave and not protecting yourself by not wearing that mask. What you're doing is endangering everyone else in that store. Because the mask doesn't protect you. It keeps you from sneezing or coughing it out into the environment 6 feet, where they have now found out it can linger in the air for 3 hours. Usually things that are spread by droplet, those droplets are heavier particles that we cough or sneeze up, and they usually settle to the ground pretty quickly because they're heavier. Just today it was announced they've realized that this can remain in the air for 3 hours after someone coughs or sneezes. So if you're too selfish to cover your face, then you don't belong out in public, period. You're risking other people's lives. They're having the courtesy of covering their face to protect you. You need to cover your face to protect them. And it's a sad state of affairs that the governor even had to pass a law, because people should have just been doing it out of common decency and courtesy. But because some of them weren't, he had to pass a law. And then people want to bitch that he passed a law? I'm sorry, I don't care what political party you are. A law that's meant to save lives, cover your freaking mouth and nose. How hard is that? You don't have to do it when you're in your house. You don't have to do it when you're in a car by yourself. But when you're in public, and when you're going to be possibly, when you can't guarantee that you will be 6 feet away from people, and again, now that we know that after you cough or sneeze, it stays airborne for 3 hours? 3 hours after that guy left the store. If he coughed or sneezed while he was in there, unsuspecting people who didn't even see him without his mask are breathing in what he sneezed into the air. So it is even more contagious than the average droplet spread respiratory illness. The more we learn about this virus, the more we're learning how lethal it is, how it is far more contagious than the flu or most other viral illnesses. So, out of concern, not just for yourself, not just for your family, but for everyone, your neighbors, people you don't know, for everyone, we all need to practice social distancing, and we all need to cover our mouth and nose when we're in public. Okay, what else is going on? I had my first telemedicine appointment with my neurologist yesterday, which it's only been, it took 20 days to get a response from when I left a message with his office that the headaches were getting horrendous and that I needed help and that the medicine he'd switched me to wasn't working. The last time I took this, it cost $150 a dose. I think because of the horrible state I was in and the fact that the medication... I also used to take medical marijuana. I don't have access to a dispensary near me. There isn't one where I live. The nearest one would be Albany. And I'm not driving 2 hours into a more densely populated area and potentially exposing myself to the illness in order to go to a dispensary. I would rather be nauseous and have no appetite and have the migraines worse and all the things that I take the medical marijuana for. And no, I don't smoke it or vape it. And yes, I specified to my pharmacist that the, I only want the capsules that are made from the strains that are the least psychoactive because I'm a control freak. I do not like to have my faculties impaired. And by taking a relatively low dose at night, it was making a huge difference. I don't have access to it now, so I'm just having to deal. So I think that's why he doubled the dose. I had been getting 70 milligrams. I noticed he ordered the 140 milligram. And at first when I saw the price, I was like, oh, maybe it's 2 doses in a box now instead of 1. So like you get a 2-month supply. No, it's just double the cost because it's double the dose in 1 dose. So I don't know that I'm going to be able to afford $300 every month. There is some paperwork my doctor did during our telemedicine appointment, which, like I said, it only took 20 days to get it set up. Actually, within him returning my call, 5 minutes later, it was like we were on the computer talking. And while we spoke, I watched him tap in on his keyboard and send my prescription to my pharmacy. So, in that way, it was awesome. But I'm guessing they're getting the system, up to speed. Why is the purple wig back on, you might ask? Because, no access to hair color at this point. I can't even stand looking at, if you've seen my last couple videos, the gray, the roots, no. I like my hair being a fun color. I know I'm 51, and I know I'm not a makeup person. To me, like, my hair color always kind of was my makeup. It's like, some people wear really wild clothes. Some people wear really, like 3 hours worth of makeup application every day as an expression of their individuality. I enjoy colorful hair. And normally, like if I could go and get my hair, I have dark hair naturally, except of course for all of the gray, which is centered right around my face. For me to get my hair like, this kind of intensity of color into my very dark brown hair, it would have to be bleached first and then the color put in. If you're not someone who's had weight loss surgery, you may not be aware that part of losing weight rapidly is you lose a lot of hair. Now, rumor has it, it grows back. It's been 11 months. You start losing the hair anywhere between like 4 and 6 months, and then you got to start waiting for it to grow back. I'm 11 months post-surgery, but of course, I also lost 20 pounds more than I wanted to. And during a pandemic, you can't always get your hands on all the healthy foods you should be eating. So that's probably contributing to maybe why the hair isn't coming back as fast as I would like it to. And frankly, I'm not comfortable with my hair being not only all gray, but also thinner than I like it. So yeah, I did chop off the ridiculous Disney princess very long ponytail aspect of this obviously very high quality wig. Because, let's face it, if you think this is over the top, if you saw the video where I was goofing around and actually had the whole thing with the like 3-foot ponytail, that was over the top. But yeah, back to more serious problems than not being able to dye my hair. The grumpiness is starting to set in. Part of it, again, have a migraine for 3 weeks and see how you feel. Pay $300, $316 if we're going to be technical, for one dose of medication. It's an injection I had to give myself in my stomach. And now I have to hopefully wait over the next week and see if it starts working. Hopefully it will work again, like it did. This week I also had some personal stuff going on. Very, very important relationship, very important friendship to me, of many, many years. Pretty much ended. And it's devastating. But when you realize you're not as important to someone as you thought you were, and certainly not as important as they have always been to you, the only healthy thing to do is to move on. With no ill will, to wish them well in their new endeavor that made them decide you were disposable. And you know, my faith teaches me that you don't wish ill on people. You know, my Brooklyn Irish heritage, you know, says some other things. Potty mouth is about to come out again, so if you need to cover your ears, go ahead. There's the warning. Now, everyone's familiar, probably, with the saying, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Commonly said expression. Lots of Irish people use it. Lots of other people use it. Kind of like, if you pulled something on me once, that was rotten of you. But I was stupid if I let you pull something on me twice, because I should have seen it coming. Well, my grandmother had a more colorful saying, and here's where the potty mouth warning comes in. She had a more direct route, and that was shit in your hat and pull it over your ears. So I kind of felt like, fool me once, shame on you, and now you can shit in your hat and pull it over your ears. So where does that leave me? It leaves me sad, as a loss. It leaves me hurt, it leaves me angry, and it leaves me dealing with it during all this other crap going on. So there we go. Everyone has their decisions to make. Whether it's, can I pay the rent? Can I pay the groceries? Can I pay for my medication? Will I wear a ridiculous wig because they don't have, I can't get my hair color, and certainly going and getting it. When it's this thin, would I waste the money getting it professionally colored? During the bleaching process, I might lose half of what I have. And of just adding color to a dark color like my own, you're not going to get like vibrancy of color like this. So if I can't do the bleaching anyway, and I'm not going to be thrilled with the color, why would I spend that kind of money to pay for, multiple hours of being bleached and colored? And like the last time I had my hair professionally colored, she did an awesome job. It took about 5 hours worth of bleaching to get my hair light enough. And then she did this awesome layered silvery blue color that was I gave her a picture from a movie. The character was an elf, by the way. So it wasn't even like human hair color that she managed to achieve, and it was awesome. My nose is running, and you don't need to see that. Apologize. Allergy season. Yeah, go out in the store and sneeze. We all know how well that's received. Anybody with allergies, you now get looked at like, you're a zombie, or worse, if you dare sneeze in public. So, yeah, it's spring. People have allergies. Anyway, so yeah, some of the plants not doing so good. Potatoes doing great. One of my bush bean plants has started to take off. One of my climbing some sort of peas has started to take off. The cherry tomato plant in the kitchen, in the air garden in the kitchen, is forming fruit. It's flowering all over now, and there's definitely some cherry tomatoes on there, little green ones so far. And you may be saying, there's no pollinators in your house, there's no bees. What you may not know with tomato plants, if you're growing them inside for the first time, now they sell a thing called Be the Bee, which basically it's a handle that they put a cute little like bee-shaped thing. It's got like little bristles on it, and you can either go around touching one flower to the next, or basically it just it kind of vibrates like the way an electric toothbrush does. And if you just hold it against the branches that have flowers while the flowers are open, it helps shake the pollen loose from flower to flower. So no, I am not in there with a paintbrush touching every flower the way I thought you had to when I first learned about indoor gardening. I learned, the next year that give your plants a little shake. And I don't even use the overpriced toothbrush thing anymore. I literally give the branches just a little shake a couple times a day. Like when I walk through the kitchen, I do it. And yeah, it's setting fruit, so that works. I'm going to be restarting other plants because I think I started them too early. And then I didn't have enough soil or anything to repot them, and they were needing to be repotted, so they started dying because they were in too small a container. So I was very happy that the coconut core came. I just poured some water. Patrick helped me bring a few gallons of water up the stairs so that I could start hydrating the coconut core. I'm just going to start some seeds directly into those biodegradable little bags to start them in instead of putting them in plastic, which is bad for the environment. I've mentioned the bags. They're like, maybe like, don't quote me here, maybe like 3 inches square and a little taller, 4 or 5 inches tall. And you can roll them down when you first start your seeds, and then as your plant gets taller, you can, unroll them and put some more dirt in until you're ready to actually plant them. And they feel like they're made out of the same stuff that tea bags are made out of, like that somewhere between paper and fabric. But they are biodegradable, so you can just plant them without disrupting the root system of your plants. So I think I'm just going to start my next round of seeds directly in them and just have them where the lights from the Aero Garden are giving them the light that they need, but that they're not, but that I'm not having to then take them from an Aero Garden pod and repot them into one of these bags. And then hopefully it will stop snowing and it will stop dropping into the 20s, and I will be able to plant these directly into the ground in a month or so. So everybody, grow a garden, grow a garden, grow a garden. I know I say that all the time. This is the year to grow a garden. If you've never done it before, there's so many tutorials for people who are beginning, gardening 101. I recommend Roots and Refuge Farm on YouTube is great. Jess gives a million different tutorials on helping people plant. And she's just so likable. She's just like so relatable to watch. And I find her videos not only informational, but also like relaxing. You feel like you've just like hung out or talked to somebody you know. She's just got this incredibly personable personality. And she's got her adorable kids running around, which is just great. And dogs, and, a variety of animals. So, and I shouldn't not mention her husband, Jeremiah, is also in the videos sometimes. He does more, like, videos on building stuff and fixing stuff using reclaimed or recycled or inexpensively obtained items so that, to show that you can build stuff on a budget a lot of the time. So he does some videos too, but most of the gardening videos are pretty much Jess. Anyway, that's Roots and Refuge Farm, if you want to check them out. I hope everyone is doing well. I hope you're healthy. I hope if you're growing out your gray hair that you're happier with it and that it's nice and thick gray hair, which I think can look pretty cool on people. If my hair was thicker and if it was graying evenly, I wouldn't probably be worrying about the color or the look of it at all. But it's thin and it's not doing me the favor of graying evenly. It's graying right around my face and really not much anywhere else. So it's this really dark brown hair with lots of gray right around my face, which is exactly what you don't want. Again, I hope you're not having to choose between your medicine, your rent, your food. It scared me when I got that email, and it included the amount of how much, it's like, hey, your prescription's ready to pick up. You're like, great, I need this stuff. And then you look at the price and it says $316 for literally one dose of something. Luckily, you only have to take it once a month. But still, it's like, come on, pharmaceutical companies. You can't tell me it costs you $600 to make this. Doing this to people, especially now, when we're all paying ridiculous prices because most of us are having to do our grocery shopping and stuff online. We're eating weird things because we can't get the normal stuff we want at the grocery store because it's not safe to go out. We're supposed to be social distancing. And the grocery stores are probably one of the most crowded places that you can possibly go. So it's the last place you want to go, especially if you're like me. I have asthma and so does my son. Be well, plant a garden. Don't be totally relying on the store as far as your fruits and vegetables and, just in a little window box garden. Just on a windowsill inside the house, you could be growing your own herbs. Fresh herbs are better than dried or store-bought herbs anyway. And most herbs grow pretty easily in the house, so you might be really pleasantly surprised. And again, let's learn a lesson. There's so many lessons we're learning through this, and it's a hard way to learn lessons. But don't let that take away the fact that we should be learning lessons. And one of them is we've let ourselves get lazy. We've let ourselves believe that there will never be a food shortage in this country. We've let ourselves believe that we'll always be able to go to the grocery store and get whatever we want or need. And I think this is a bit of a wake-up call that we need to go back to being a little more self-reliant. And we need to appreciate the farmers who are doing their best to keep food in the stores. The only exception to that, I do not appreciate farmers who are factory farming animals. And I will not buy meat from farms that are not humane certified. I will eat vegetarian before I will eat meat from farms that are not humane certified. Because if that animal is going to sacrifice its life for our nutrition, then its short life should be one of good care, open spaces, and kindness. It didn't ask to be born to be your food, but that was its lot in life. So at least it deserves to be treated the way its species lives, outside, getting fresh air, getting space, eating what it's meant to eat, and being treated with kindness and respect, and then being slaughtered humanely. Let's hold the food industry to those standards. Don't let panic buying take away your conscience and the power that your purchases have. If you won't buy it, they have to change the way they produce it to get you to buy it. I would recommend that you subscribe to ButcherBox, who does that sourcing for you. I understand right now there's a waiting list for ButcherBox. If you go to their website, you can sign up to be put on the waiting list. But in the meantime, look for that humane certified on purchases. Look for those free-range eggs. And yes, I understand they cost a little more, but let's not promote animal abuse and cruelty in the middle of all of this. People overcrowding animals and basically disrespecting Mother Nature and all her creatures spreads disease, in case we all haven't learned that. So let's treat them with the respect they deserve. And let's support those farmers, because it's more expensive for them to treat their animals well and give them space and give them healthy diets and treat them kindly. It costs them more to do that, and that's why they have to charge more. But let's support that. Let's support that practice as a culture. I forget who said it. I want to say Gandhi. I could be wrong. But they said, show me how the weakest in a society, and I'm paraphrasing, I don't have the quote exactly right. Show me how the weakest members of a society are treated, and I'll tell you what kind of society you're dealing with. And basically, animals and human beings who are frail or dependent upon others for care are the weakest in our society. So when we allow them to be mistreated, shame on us. Take care, be self-sufficient, stay home. If you're someone who has to go to work, be safe at work, wear that mask, use that hand sanitizer. And if someone's standing closer to you than they should, remind them that they need to step back. Don't be shy about saying it. None of us at this point, it's a matter of life and death, none of us should be shy about telling someone they need to step back if they've stepped into our personal space, which now has become 6 feet. As usual, I've talked longer than I meant to, and I guess I just wanted to say, we're all in this together, whether your decision is about, maybe you have different costs that I have not included. Like, for example, right now I don't have a car payment. I have a 25-year-old car, so I do not have a car payment. But when you're paying $300 a month for just one of the medications you're on, it's kind of like having a car payment. So maybe your choice is between the car payment and the groceries, or the car payment and the rent, or, we all have different expenses that we're trying to decide how to use our limited funds on, especially as the prices on life's necessities have gotten higher and higher. The only thing that's gotten cheaper is gas, which is kind of like a bad joke because nobody's driving anywhere. Normally I would be thrilled at that because my 25-year-old Suburban gets terrible gas mileage, as you might imagine. Right now it would be like, yeehaw, I can actually take a trip and it won't cost me a ton. Gas is like, $2 a gallon. But, yeah, we're not driving anywhere. So the low gas prices really aren't helping when you're sitting home. Everything else, the prices are going up. And so we're all having to make hard decisions. The purple wig is my decision, like I said, as far as dealing with, hey, I can't dye my hair. I can't go get my hair dyed. And, yeah, purple wig. Purple wig it is. For you, if there's something a little lighthearted that can make you feel better, make you, put a little fun in your day, go for it. There's no, you know how I feel about my squid pens, especially since I discovered that they're light up squid pens, It doesn't get better. If you're writing something serious, when you're paying your bills, I only have like 2 bills that I actually pay with a check. Actually, I have 1 bill that I always pay with a check. My rent I pay with a check. Isn't it better to be writing it with a squid pen than it is with a regular pen? You got to find joy where you can, in the littlest places sometimes. And then we all have to make those big decisions. The medicine, the food, the rent, the utilities. I'm someone who hasn't had cable TV in a couple of years because I just couldn't afford it. I get my news via Netflix or YouTube. That's life. I can't afford cable. So, I haven't had it for a long time, and when I had to look at my budgets, that was something that had to go. So, we all have to make those decisions, and I hope we're all able to keep being able to live with the decisions we're making. And I got to turn that bright light off. I know you're like, thank God she's going to stop talking, but the other part of it is she's going to start puking. If you have migraines, you know that you can get nauseous, and the bright lights make it worse. I gave myself this injection. This medication it works on monoclonal antibody type technology. It is not like a painkiller. It's not like you give yourself the injection and 10 minutes later you feel better. Hopefully in a week I'll start feeling better if it's working, or 2 weeks. So yeah, I'm gonna vom if the light doesn't go off. Wow, now it looks like I'm making a horror movie. Anyway, I wish you all well, and you can see my teeth. Have as good a day as possible under these circumstances. Enjoy the time you're getting to spend with whoever you are in quarantine with. And if you're by yourself, reach out to people, because nobody should be just sitting around by themselves. It's not good for you. Take care, and I will talk to you soon.